a serious controversy between the North and the president. I'm talking about Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu. It is yet to be seen whether Tinubu can survive this. The North seem to have drawn the battle line. And we have seen so many Northerners speaking in a very harsh manner, particularly the way they feel the government is not favoring the North. We are going to be looking at the areas of the grievances of the North. That is about 5 areas of grievance. Of course, the North is not smiling at all. We have seen the rise of Ndume challenging the president that his bill is dead on arrival. And we are looking forward to on Tuesday when the 2 chambers of National Assembly, I'm talking about the Senate and House of Representatives, will be deliberating on that bill. Though the governors from the North have rejected that bill, even Northern Governors Forum have rejected it. So many stakeholders have asked the president to withdraw that bill. But Mr. Tinubu is maintaining that that bill must run its circle, that anybody that have any opposition to the bill should go and engage with the National Assembly. But meanwhile, the areas of dissatisfaction of the North has to do with the accusation of trying to Yorubanize Nigeria. Of course, the same accusation that Buhari faced under his watch, when there were accusations that he was trying to Fulanize Nigeria. And the second one has to do with the tax reform bill. Then the third one has to do with the accusation against the president of trying to colonize the North, particularly Kano State. We shall be looking at all this. Then the fourth one has to do with the policies of government that is not favoring the North, according to the North, from their perspective. I think the last has to do with the insecurity. We understand that insecurity in the North is a serious concern for the country. We have seen recently a Tojibelu having upper hand in some communities, how he is alleged to be collecting levies and all that. But we shall come back to that. Let us first of all start from the issue of Yorubanization. Of course, that was the same accusation Buhari faced under his watch when he was accused of trying to Fulanize Nigeria. But when it comes to issues of this nature, I think the way Nigeria is kind of fortunate that the government or anybody that finds itself in governance at the helm of affairs do not always want to adhere to the rule of law. Because if you look at the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it's very clear as to how to distribute positions, how to apportion positions, particularly when it comes to issues that have to do with federal character. Because federal character is a law that is entrenched in our legal jurisprudence. So to that extent, if you are given positions, it more reflect geographical spread. I think it is in that direction that the North is raising alarm that the key positions are monopolized by what they call the Lagos boys. Though it is seen as urbanization, but the accusation has to do with the political class in Lagos State dominating governance. You understand that when you talk about political class in Lagos State or the Tinubu dynasty, political dynasty, of course, Tinubu himself, who have ruled Lagos State in 1999 to from 1999, and he have ruled Lagos State in 2 terms, still have a firm grip on Lagos politics. And of course, he is the current president, but the North is not currently satisfied with what they think that his political associates, acolytes, are dominating the all the government positions, especially the major governance positions. Because by all purpose and intent, if you are to give up positions, and it must reflect geographical spread, anything short of that is marginalization of any area that is not adequately represented. But in this regard, I think it's even the southeastern part of the country, the Igbos, that were supposed to raise more concern and more alarm, because when it comes to issue of appointment, I think they not have it more than the southeastern part of the country. Looking at the security position, we have about 17 of them. Talking about the office of the Chief National Security Advisor, the IG of Police, the Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Director of DSS, National Intelligence Agency, name it. There are about 17 positions. The only one that goes to the southeastern part of the country, the Igbos, is the Chief of Naval Staff. Of course, I think when you are looking at whether some people are being marginalized, I think it's Igbos that ought to be speaking, not the North per se. Then looking at the issue of a tax reform bill, this one is raising a very big issue. We are seeing a situation where northern governors have come out clearly to tell the president, we are not comfortable with this bill, and as such, you should withdraw it. And the president on his own part have said, I am not withdrawing this bill. The bill must run its full circle in the National Assembly. If you have any issue, go and engage with senators, with House of Rep members, and make your position known. And I think this is where the battle line has been drawn, because the North, there are indications that the North is already threatening, northern governors are already threatening House of Rep members, senators who may want to go the way of approving that bill, making that bill to say true, that they may not get a return ticket to the House. Though some House members have denied that, but it's already in the middle space that they are getting threat. And the area of controversy that has to do with this bill has to do with the issue of one, the how to apportion VAT. You can understand that the new system is saying that VAT should be given to areas where goods and services are being consumed, where companies are headquartered. I think they not see it as a way of trying to favor the South, particularly Lagos State, that have the highest population in the country. And if you look at all the multinational companies, all the banks, I think they have the headquarters in Lagos. Of course, I think that best explains the reason they are apprehensive that if this is allowed to say true, it is going to place the North at a disadvantage. And if you look at something like that to do with alcohol, there are some places in the North where they have disdain for consumption of alcohol. But currently, they enjoy revenue that accrues from alcohol to the federal government through tax. So I think if this bill is allowed to say true, definitely that revenue they are hitherto enjoy through alcohol may not be available for them, since it's going to be strictly based on the area that the goods and services are being consumed. Of course, if there is a law in a particular state that says do not consume alcohol and alcohol is not consumed, it implies that when the bill becomes law and it comes into effect, that such state may not get any revenue in that regard. But for me, I think there is another area that the people are not even giving priority attention, perhaps because it is not a regional issue. Well, for me, I think that is the area Nigerians ought to be giving serious attention. I'm talking about value added tax percentage. Of course, we understand that currently the status quo is 7.5%. And the government, if this is allowed to say true, the government is proposing by January about 12.5%. And the projection will increase beyond that in the coming years, like 2029, 2030. I think the projection is above 15%. Of course, they argue that this was the prevalence in other parts of the world. But for me, I think this is where patriotism comes in. It's not even about whether you're a northerner, you're a southerner, you are whatever you hear from is not the issue this time around. I'm of the view that this is not the right time to start talking about increase of VAT. Because definitely, if you increase VAT, it's going to trickle down to everything that is being produced in the country. We are going to see a situation where all goods that it produce, the market price is going to increase. Because definitely, by the time the companies are building the tax increase into their production, it must reflect in the price, the market. So for me, I think the government should think twice and look at the timing to address it, because the policy of government that's actually brought hardship to Nigerians have not been addressed. The issue of subsidy removal of gasoline is there. The issue of devaluation of naira that has to do with floating of FS at the official window is there. And this double policy have since seen Nigerians suffering. We have witnessed about 2 rounds of protests across the nation. We have seen how Nigerians try to express their anger and how government through security agencies suppress these voices. So for me, I think this is not the right time for the government to start thinking of this idea of VAT increase. I think they should tarry for that. They should tarry in that regard and wait for a time when our economy start recovering. But for now, I think the economy is in a very precarious situation. Nigerians can hardly feed. You cannot argue that. I think the government equally acknowledge that. There are so many instances where the government have acknowledged that Nigerians are suffering. I think the only way the government can show empathy, the only way the government can show Nigerians that they are aware that Nigerians are suffering is to suspend those areas that will bring more burden, more hardship on the people, particularly the idea of VAT increase. I am not saying the government should not make more money, because the government have argued that before this government came on board, that Nigeria was using about 97% of its national earning to service debt. That going by the double policy of all the policies on ground, that have been able to reduce that percentage to about 68%, which means government is getting more money. And again, we have seen that the government, according to analysis, that the double policy of subsidy removal on gasoline and the unification of FS at the official window earns government 4 trillion each annually. By extension, we are talking about 8 trillion at the end of the year. But the question is, the government should put that money into judicious use, and they should be transparent to the extent of carrying Nigerians along to know how those the money is being utilized. Otherwise, Nigerians may want to ask questions as going concern. Then let's look at another area that has to do with allegation to colonize the north, particularly Kano State. I think this one is particularly coming from the leader of the Kwankwansia movement. I'm talking about Kwankwaso himself, who was a former governor of Kano State. Of course, he was equally a former minister of defense under the former government of Olusegun Obasanjo, and currently he's the leader of New Nigerian People Party ruling in Kano State under the governorship of Abba Yusuf. But the question is, the Kwankwaso himself has raised alarm that Lagos wants to colonize Kano State, by extension the north. We understand that when it comes to talk of Lagos, the political class in Lagos, the leader of that political class is Senator Bola Tinubu, who doubles as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So directly or indirectly, that pointing finger, that accusation is pointing at the president. And his reason is not far-fetched. Remember that currently we have about 2 emirs in Kano State. Needless going into the whole detail of what transpired in Kano recently, but we understand that Sanusi, who was the emir before Ganduje became the governor, was throned at the instance or resumption of office of Abba Yusuf, who is a lawyer to Kwankwaso. Bayero was quickly dethroned and Sanusi returned to office. But as we have it, we have seen different court cases for and against, but currently there is what I will call a confusion in that state, to the extent that we have 2 emirs in Kano State. Though the current government tried to collapse all the emirates into one, because the governorship Kano State under Ganduje broke the emirate Kano State into 5 different emirates. Currently, it has been collapsed into one. The government have since announced the intention of maybe trying to return it to 5 emirates. But the question is, I think the one that is contentious is the Kano Emirate. Of course, that is the major seat of power when it comes to the monarchical system of government in Kano State, where Sanusi is seen as the current emir. Though Bayero is backed by some federal forces, still holds sway in some part of the Kano State, still reside in Kano State as the emir. And currently, Kwankwaso is accusing Lagos of imposing an emir on Kano State. We understand that the president or the federal government have no role to play when it comes to emirship, whether in Kano State, whether in Jigawa State, whether in Sokoto, wherever. But I think rely on some court order to the police, because the police will naturally tell you that they have a duty to enforce court order. I think that is what we are seeing in Kano State. But however you look at it, we are having controversy in Kano State, and it is yet to be resolved. And Kwankwaso himself is accusing the president of being the brain behind it. Though he didn't mention the president directly, but he have accused Lagos State, and we understand that the president is the leader of the political class in Lagos State. And I think we are seeing a situation where the Arewa Consultative Forum have come out to clear the issue that has to do with because there's a time when the chairman of Arewa Consultative Forum, and talking about Maman Osuman, have said that the North will only vote for a Northerner come 2027. Though he has been suspended because according to sources within the Arewa Consultative Forum, that statement he made, he was not authorized to do so. Looking at the fact that he was not authorized to do so does not mean it does not mean that it has not been conceived, or it does not mean that it has not been discussed, or it does not mean that it is not inherent in the mind of people within the rank of Northern Arewa Consultative Forum. But I think it's because the man was not authorized to make such statements. So it goes to show that there is a war going on between the North and the South, and it is only when we approach 2027 election we can understand whether the North will use that opportunity to demand that they vote a Tinubu out of office. And we have seen in the past where the North have said that the mistake they make for voting Tinubu in 2023, that they will not repeat that mistake again. So for me, I think if that was a mistake, I think the North should look at it and know what to do when it comes to 2027. Then we are looking at the issue of policy that the North claim is not favoring them. But let me quickly say that the policy of the government currently is biting hard on every Nigerian, irrespective of where you hail from. Because the issue that has to do with subsidy removal on gasoline is affecting everybody. The issue that has to do with policy of education FS at official window, which amounted to devaluation of Naira, is affecting everybody. So it's not just a northern thing. I think it is affecting every Nigerian, irrespective of your region, irrespective of where you stay from, irrespective of where you hail from. I think the North is only having their own fair share of the suffering, and the South is equally having their own fair share. Then let us briefly look at the issue of insecurity. The North has always seen the bad side of it, particularly since the days of the former government. I'm talking about Muhammadu Buhari. But currently, we are seeing a new dimension to insecurity in the North. I'm talking about Lakurawa that just emerged and is wreaking havoc in part of Kebbi and Sokoto State. But I think the government, for me, the government through the armed forces have no option but to strive to possess monopoly of coercive power. As a government, you need it. It is irrespective of anybody's opinion. You must possess monopoly of coercive power to deal with issues of insecurity anywhere it raises its ugly head. Because nobody will be ready to accept excuse for the government not being able to police the nation or to address insecurity. We saw how Itoji Bello burned down military vehicle, and the military have since come out to clarify that the vehicle was stuck, and as such, the bandits took advantage of it and got it burnt. But however, you look at it, it is an international embarrassment to Nigerian sovereignty that needs to be addressed. And it's not even yet on record that Itoji Bello have been arrested, is under protection. That is why the armed forces must do better, must step up the action to ensure that they nip insecurity in the board anywhere it raises its head. Whether in the south, whether in the north, whether in the south, southeast, northwest, northeast, name it. It is a responsibility that is incumbent on the armed forces to address. And by extension, the president goes by the name of the president and the commander of the armed forces. So, and the constitution is very clear about the importance of the welfare of Nigerians and their security, to the extent that it says it shall be the primary purpose of governance. So for that, to me, the government have no excuse for not addressing insecurity. They must rise to the occasion and address it. Nigerians deserve a peaceful environment to coexist.